AAUW is me.
I wanted to meet some new people and do some different things. And I also wanted to be part of an organization that had a social commitment to young women and the community at large.
I want to be a contributing member of an organization where women help women in promoting education, in making friends, in entertaining one another, and in sharing ideas about this world.
Women would want to join the AAUW because we have a very fierce commitment to equality and equity for women and girls. And if that's something that you're interested in, this is one of the best venues to help channel that energy.
Welcome to AAUW Connections. We have a great show today. We're going to talk about an organization, a fine organization called Parents Helping Parents. We have two individuals here who are deeply involved in that organization. And I'm first going to introduce Joanna Yeager from the Board of Directors. So Joanna, do you want to tell a little bit about the organization? What does it do?
Well, thanks for having us here. And Parents Helping Parents is a great organization, and our purpose is to support families of children with special needs, of a wide range of differences and special healthcare needs and disabilities, and we strive to inform and support parents in whatever way they need throughout the lifespan of their children.
That's great. So Rosa, you have something to add to that. This is Rosa Solorzano, who is a bilingual educational specialist with this group. So I think you had something you wanted to say to add a little heart.
Right, all from my heart. Yes, as I was thinking about coming here, and we often are asked our questions, what do we do exactly, right? What exactly are we? So I'm thinking, and then I started writing something that I thought will capture the soul and heart of who we really are. And so to that, what I want to say is that Parents Helping Parents is a face to those who are invisible to society, because people with disability continue to be overlooked, left out, and forgotten. Parents Helping Parents is a place where families who are touched by a disability or healthcare needs find comfort, support, education, and understanding. It's a place where they feel valued and welcome as a full members of society. That's who we are.
That's great. That's the heart of what you do. So how did you get involved with the organization?
Well, I became involved with Parents Helping Parents nearly 19 years ago when my son was born. My younger son has Down syndrome. His name is Carlos. He's almost 18. So right after I was still in the delivery room when the doctor told me that there was suspicious that he could have Down syndrome. So they said that they will do a test, and after 2 weeks I would get a confirmation about his diagnosis. So I went home and I prayed for those 2 weeks.
It must have been a very tough 2 weeks.
It was difficult, it was painful, but after 2 weeks when I went back to the doctor, they said, yes, he does have Down syndrome. So I immediately got connected with Parents Helping Parents. Yeah, the social worker said, it's a great organization, you need to find support, you need to be connected with other families who are dealing with similar issues. And so I found all I needed by having Contact PHP. I was immediately connected to other parents who had kids with Down syndrome, who I can call, who I can get advice, or I can just cry with, right? Because sometimes that's what we need, someone to hear to what we're going through and find that comfort and understanding that I was talking about, because there's nothing like talking to somebody who knows, who had been there, who had walked the path.
That's so true. How about you, Joanna?
Well, I have a son who's 20 years old who has autism, and I was also told by the medical professionals and the diagnosticians that you should call Parents Helping Parents. And I was a dutiful mom and made the phone call, and I didn't really know what to expect. What was I going to get there? Everybody told me I should do it, so I did. And you know, from the beginning, the first phone call that I got back from them was, you know, this is Mona. I have a kid with autism as well. You know, it was sort of a welcome to the club that nobody wants to belong to. You know,
so they connected you with other
with
parents
another parent
who had similar issues with
and
their
one of the
kids.
biggest challenges for families who have kids with any kind of special need is that isolation that you feel that, you know, your immediate family may not understand. They may be critical of you and your parenting skills, and they may be, you know, they may not understand what it's like to have a child who doesn't sleep through the night or whatever. So to ease that isolation, to be connected with other parents was it was life-changing for me.
How old was your son when you realized
he was just before he turned 3 years old
Okay,
when we first connected with PHP, and we have gotten, you know, wonderful support.
So
over
what
the
have you
years.
done with PHP? I know you've been very active. Can
I
you give a
have.
little
When I
description?
shortly after I got connected with PHP, I jumped into volunteering to run a support group for other families.
Okay, great.
So you know, it helped me before I volunteer again, and I ran that for a number of years, and with another mom. And then more recently, I've been involved on the board of directors. I've been on the board of directors for about 7 years, and then this past year, I took on the responsibilities of volunteer coordinator, and so I'm trying to attract and coordinate and match up volunteers with their interests and with the needs that we have at the organization.
Okay. So Rosa, how about you? What is your job there, and how do you interact with people? What do you do?
I've been working for Parents Helping Parents for 13 years, almost 14, and I'm in the education department. So one of the things that I do, I work with parents and empowering them with the information, with the knowledge to understand the systems of support. We do have ongoing trainings regarding special education. Anything to do with the schools issues that the parents may be facing if they call to say, well, I'm getting all these calls from the school, you need to come pick up your child, is not behaving, so what do I do next? Then we walk them through the steps on, okay, these are some options that you can do that will help you resolve the different issues depending on what the situation may be.
So you don't do teaching exactly, you do instruction of the parents. You educate the parents on what their rights are and what their children's rights are.
Right. Yeah, we don't work specifically with the kids, but in a way we teach the parents, we educate and empower the parents so that they become knowledgeable about the education system, about the different systems of care, about their child's disability, so that they can then go out and advocate for what they need and for what the child.
So does a child have a right in this country to an education? Is that assured? How is, I mean...
Yeah, there is federal law that that provides that every child is entitled to a free and appropriate public education, regardless of their disability or level of ability or whatever challenges. You know, all public schools are governed by that law.
Okay. Of course, having them put it into action.
It varies, and one of the important things that is that we don't ever tell parents what they have to do, because we don't know all the details. You know, we can't. And I think there are many parents who would like us to tell them what to do, but so what we do is walk them through the path and have them think about certain questions and have them prepare themselves for different possibilities, and it's, you know, every family and every circumstance and every disability and every child within a disability category is going to have differences. So we can't presume to know what's going to be the right thing for that particular family or for that particular child. So we've always felt strongly about not telling people what to do, but providing them information so they can make informed decisions.
And encouraging them to
encouraging
go forward.
them,
So do you ever go as an advocate? I mean, suppose I'm a parent of a special needs child and I feel the school district's giving me the runaround. Would you ever come with me to meet with the school authorities, or do you actually do that, or do you do the support behind the scenes, so to speak?
Right. Unfortunately, most of the things that we do are kind of behind the scenes. We can't physically. We're just not able to be
Not
in
enough of
every
you
child's
right.
IEP, right?
Right.
There is 11 of us in the education department.
Okay.
11 people that are able to support parents, but there's 56,000 students with disabilities only in the counties that we serve alone.
So that's in Santa Clara County?
That's Santa Clara County, that will
56,000.
be San Mateo County, that's San Joaquin, and Santa Cruz. We serve 4 counties.
That would be the 4 counties. And those are the
56,000.
counties you serve, more or less?
Yeah.
More or less for education, that's kind of our area. We help people that calls us from any other county. We're always on the phone with people, even from out of state.
Okay.
We support them in that way, but we're funded for those specific counties. That's kind of where we kind of put more energy into. So that's the reason we're unable to assist. We love to go to all their IEP meetings. However, we do help parents with a phone call if they need to. If they can't get to the person in charge, we probably make a phone call on their behalf.
Right.
Or we support them by writing letters to the people in charge.
You can't
to the
physically
director.
go with them, but you give them other aids.
Other aids. The only school district where we're able to go to IEP meetings is Ravenswood City School District.
Which Ravenswood?
Ravenswood City School District.
You still do that?
We continue to do that. We're still there for if there's any parents in that district that needs our support, please call us. We'll be happy to support you.
Where is your office? Are you in San Jose or Santa Clara?
We're physically located in San Jose, right.
And you are a Spanish speaker. Are a number of your clientele Hispanics or, say, other people who may even have language difficulties and so forth?
Yeah,
we do have a large majority of Spanish-speaking parents.
I mean, certainly special needs knows no social or ethnic.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, we served over 5,000 individual families, around 5,500 individual families, and about 20% of those are non-English speaking.
Okay,
families.
so it's a great help to have.
Yeah,
somebody
so we have a number. We have 8.
Do you have someone who speaks Vietnamese, for instance?
We
do.
And we have somebody who speaks French and Italian.
Oh,
and
Arabic.
Okay.
Well, that's true. We are a nation. I mean, we have so many
especially here in the Bay Area.
groups here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So how are you funded?
From a variety of sources. I mean, that's both a challenge and an advantage. We get somewhat less than 50% of our funding comes from government sources. So the federal government,
federal,
state, and some county government
okay.
monies as well through social services agencies. Okay. And then we have private donations, and then also, sort of grants from foundations and corporations and things like that.
So you have an active development office.
We do, and we're working hard to put on events. We do. We're planning a training in the spring, bringing in a special education attorney who's nationally known, Pete Wright, to do a one-day training for parents on their rights in special education. And that is, in addition, it provides education to families, but it also is an opportunity for us to raise a little bit of money. So we try and bring in, we've had a distinguished speakers series where we bring in experts in different areas, in behavior and in,
that's great.
Those kinds of...
Do you charge parents?
We not for sort of daily phone calls and stuff.
Right.
For conferences and events, we do. We invite people to become members of Parents Helping Parents, which is a $50 annual membership, and that confers them a little bit of a discount here and there, and sometimes special access to some of our events, early bird registrations and that sort of stuff. So we're looking, at around every corner for whatever kind of funding that we can get, and to try and reach out beyond our own community, our community of special needs.
Well, it's really important for all of us to know about agencies like yours and the good work that you do. So one of the questions I've always heard, it's kind of controversial, is the mainstreaming of kids with disabilities, putting them into regular classrooms. Do you guys have any particular thoughts on that? Is that generally a good thing? Is it generally done now? Does it cause controversy?
If it's done well, it can be fantastic. It can, but it really depends on the individual child and what their needs are and what the environment and the support in the school system is. You can't, it's very rare that you can successfully just kind of throw a kid out into the mainstream and that he or she is going to be successful. So there's scaffolding and supports that.
And the teachers, I would think, would need some training and support in how to handle a variety of kids.
So there's some school districts who have policies of full inclusion for every child with disabilities, and some do it on a case-by-case basis, and it's a big challenge because it's not a one-size-fits-all sort of thing, and for some people, education in the inclusive setting with their peers and their neighbors is a wonderful thing, and then for some it might just be too much, or it might be not the right fit. Maybe they can learn some things but not learn all things. So there's lots of combinations of things. There are some children who spend a portion of the day in the mainstream and a portion of the day getting special services. But again, it's very individual.
Well, our son, who was a 5th grade teacher, a new teacher, a mature guy but a new teacher, and first time teaching 5th grade, had a pretty severely handicapped autistic child in his class. Got no help whatsoever from the school, and so he struggled with it, but it was successful in that the parents, the other parents, really liked having this boy in the class because they felt their children learned empathy and understanding.
It changes
that they
everybody.
never would have. Yeah, it changed changed everyone.
Yeah. I think in general, we want our kids to be part of their community. We don't want them to be isolated. We want them to be part of the broader community and to be known and understood and accepted by their friends and neighbors. But it takes also
education of the broader community as to how to relate sometimes to somebody who's a little bit different.
So I think overall, I think it's an amazing idea to include everybody, to have them in their own community, because this is where they are going to be anyways when they're done with the school at age 18. There is no more special ed, and there is no special of anything. This is their real world, right? They either work at McDonald's or wherever they go to work. This is their community. This is real world. So. I think overall, I think it's really a good philosophy, and it's true. Part of the challenge is there's not enough support for those teachers who want to do a good job, who feel that they want to help, right? That they, that this kid probably
that
just needs
to be a big
something.
social need is training. They talk about
I think
how teachers need help just to be to do discipline, just to be a good teacher, and they don't get
I
much
think
of
everybody benefits by having a child with disabilities in their classroom.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of talk about awareness. It's autism awareness this or disability awareness day or month or week or whatever. And I think what we really want to move to is acceptance and not just awareness. Everybody can acknowledge, yes, there are people with disabilities.
Understanding and acceptance
and inclusion that. And we as parents certainly are powerfully motivated by that. We want our children to be loved and accepted and welcomed in their community, and have people who truly care about them, who are their friends and neighbors, and not just their paid caregivers and teachers. And
well, hopefully
like
this is a splendid community to do that, because we have such a variety of people coming from other countries, coming from all over this country, kind of melding into the California sunshine.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, you should really be the models for the world. Do you lobby or advocate for special needs children? I mean, do you do anything in Sacramento? Do you do anything in the county?
We do have some of our staff people are on committees in Sacramento and sit on regional and state advisory boards and that sort of stuff. So we don't generally lobby for specific legislation at this point, though there are some things that we'll put out, you know, alerts for people to get involved in one thing or another. We don't have a lot of our resources aren't directed in that because we're spread too thin.
Well, it's good to educate the elected members, you
right.
know, on
and we have
what
a
you
wonderful
need.
local representative, Jim Bell.
Oh
who
yes,
is,
well he's
you know,
he's all again all heart and
he's been wonderful in taking up so many causes that nobody really wants to take up. So we're lucky to have him around.
So do you do any work with the kids themselves? Are you basically there to help the parents? I mean, such as if I'm a child and do you ever talk about new techniques or new technology or things that might be of help to parents and then the child itself?
There are a few things that we do specifically for kids, like there is a playgroup that is for kids under age 5.
Okay.
Once a month. There is also the SIV shops that is for kids are 8 years old, for the siblings of kids with disabilities.
Okay.
That come together as a group on a weekend also. And well, the circle, there is another program that teaches kids like social boundaries and kind of how to be a friend or who's your friend and who's your family kind of thing. And that's are kind of the few things that we have directed at kids. Most of what we do is education to the parents, is training and information to the parent. A lot of support groups, that have about like 20 support groups in the different subcategories of disabilities, all run by volunteers.
I'm wondering if there are, you know, new techniques for kids to learn using computer technology.
We have our Assistive Technology Center, our iTech Center.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And it's a demonstration center for high and low tech supports for communication, for learning, for play, for accessibility. So families can arrange what they call a tech-exploration.
Okay.
And that where they can sample some of the thing. If you have a child with learning disabilities, dyslexia or something, there's many kinds of software that can help with them, you know, understanding their materials, their school materials, and you know what kind of adaptations and supports. We had a you know, sometimes there's lots of attention to the iPads these days and all the apps, and some of them are, you know, extraordinarily capable, you know, communication devices. You know, it used to be that a communication device would be a suitcase-sized thing that somebody would have to lug around, and it wasn't very elegant, wasn't very agile. But now that you can do it on an iPad or an iPod, you know, people can have their voice with them if somebody's unable to speak, and they can go to a store and communicate and make a choice. And so, and even, you know, we see very, very young children in that environment, somebody who might need a toy adapted so that a child who has significant physical disabilities can play with a toy. And
well, when you see little kids using the smartphones of their parents, you know, and they seem to be very adept at that.
They catch on very, very quickly. And we also, in this past year, had a man who was over 50 who had never really had a voice, and he was exposed to.
You mean literally was unable to communicate?
People assumed that he didn't communicate, and that he had lived with his mother for his whole life, and his mother had passed, and there was an agency who was responsible for his care. They brought him in, and they showed him some computer programs that allowed him to make some choices and to express himself a little bit. And by the end of this session, he was clutching the computer like, I don't want to leave.
I mean, just imagine.
I mean, the whole room was in tears, and fortunately, the people responsible for his care were able to purchase a laptop computer for him so that he could begin to have that in his life after so many years of really never being
50
asked.
years old.
So that the technology, I think, is such an important part, and we have kits for literacy and kits for math that can be checked out by teachers and by parents so that you can sample some of the things, some of the possibilities.
So, Rosa, what happens to adults who are, you know, have special needs? Does the state or the county, are there many facilities for them? Or, I mean, you know, you can, one thing when you have schools available and then your child turns 18 or 19 or 20, a young adult, training programs for work, like sheltered workshops. How about that?
Right. Well, unfortunately, there's very few options for our older kids, and I'm facing that right now with my son who's about to leave high school. There's very few options. Unfortunately, we really need to do more for that community again, because they're out of the system now, but they still need some skills. They still need to be able to function in their community. They still need to be able to go and do a job like everybody else. They're very able if we give them the opportunity. They would flourish. They would really do good. It's a big challenge, right? When they turn 18, we have to go through conservatorship. We really need to plan for life after. What's going to happen when we're not here? Who else can take over a role and responsibility? As Joanna mentioned, in this case, there are agencies already set up that can that can be utilized as a conservatee for a person. But overall, it's just the dynamics really change when they get to that age. We really have to think of and plan ahead on who's going to do what and how it's going to happen, because again, we don't know how long we'll be with them, and if they live.
It would be wonderful if there were more training programs and kind of sheltered workshops.
Well, not even sheltered. We want them out as much as we can.
Right,
but there is that, and we have sort of the core of what we do at PHP is this support mode. Sometimes it's one parent to one parent.
But
sometimes
you ever work
it's support
with companies urging? I noticed that Safeway, in one of our Safeway markets, there's a man who helps who I think is mildly Down syndrome. There's one guy who's totally
deaf.
There
are agencies.
Totally deaf, and he functions very well. I mean, he has beautiful blue eyes, and I said, "My, you have beautiful blue eyes." And somebody said he can't hear you, so I went. And there are agencies who provide supported employment and things like that. We don't do that at PHP, but we do have support groups for families of adults with disabilities. And we have a coffee that meets a parent coffee for once a month for parents of individuals over the age of 22. We have a support groups of across the lifespan, and also it varies disability to disability. So we have a support group for people who are facing mood disorders and mental health issues. And people who. So you do work a little bit with people who struggle through mental health. Kids with mental health issues. And they're seeing more and more of those kinds of diagnoses. Well, if you take across the board disabilities, probably every family has something. Something that they're challenged with. It might be a medical issue. It might be a mental health issue. It might be a disability that's more familiar. We've served lots of families who have learning disabilities. It's wonderful what you do, and you must enjoy your work in that you're making a difference for people. So
at the end of the day, it feels good to know that you're making a difference in a child's life and in a family's life. So overall, I'm going to have to end the show. So thank you for watching AAUW Connections.